So before we start off, this is gonna be no cuts. I've never made a video like this, like quite literally ever, and I was planning to only post Frieren today, but obviously in light of the news that we all received yesterday night, I had too many thoughts that than to just not make a video like this. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna try to get through this without crying. It's gonna be tough, but I'm gonna try. Um, and also, let me address something before I even continue. I seen a lot of people talking about people monetizing videos and trying to make products off of Akira Toriyama's death. That is scummy. That is not okay. This video is not monetized. I mean, I don't have enough subscribers to be monetized in the first place, but even if I did, this would not be monetized out of respect for Akira Toriyama. This is not for views. This is just my way of expressing the impact the man has had on my life and many others. I first watched Dragon Ball. It was Dragon Ball Z Kai, and I forgot what channel I was on, but I was just trying to watch some cartoons, and I stumbled upon a legendary episode, the scream heard around the fucking world, and I watched Goku go Super Saiyan 3. And I mean, from that moment, it was donezo. It was a done fucking deal. I was hooked the moment I watched Goku go Super Saiyan 3. And, you know, as I continue to talk about it, the only regret I have with Dragon Ball, the literal only regret, is not being born early enough to watch it from the beginning. That's the one regret. Obviously, I've watched the whole series now, you know, because I just got streaming apps and I got to go back and watch it from the start. But that's my one regret. I remember watching that episode, and first of all, many of us as kids can relate to this, wanting to be exactly like Goku, fighting like Goku, practicing the Kamehameha, wanting to turn Super Saiyan, giving him energy when he was putting up the Spirit Bomb, just trying to emulate the man himself. And all of that love, admiration, inspiration, motivation, and appreciation of a series and a medium, it was my first anime. You know what I'm saying? This is what got me into shows like One Piece, Naruto, Bleach, and just on and on. The person who created all of that and made those feelings possible was Akira Toriyama. Um, I believe his name was Osamu Tezuko. I don't want to butcher his name. I could look it up right now in a bit, but I believe his name was Osamu Tezuko. He's the one who created Astro Boy, and they call him, and he's kind of known as the father of manga. He's the reason why manga is the way it's done now. He's literally like the pioneer. He's like the Walt Disney of manga and that whole genre of media and art, right? When he met Toriyama and got to see Toriyama's work, he called him too good. He said he was way too good, and he said if there's literally anybody in this world that could be deemed my successor, it would be him. That's basically the creator of an entire medium looking at you and saying, you're him. You know what I'm saying? He knew from the start that Toriyama was different. He knew from the start that he was a pioneer. What he didn't know was the absolute unbelievable scale of influence that Toriyama was gonna go on and create and promote. I don't think he could have predicted, because I'm assuming, I don't know for sure, right? I might be talking out of my ass, but I'm assuming when he met him, he was writing Slump, Sandland, like anything of that nature. You know, he wasn't on Dragon Ball yet. I don't think so. He might have been, but like moving from that and then just continuously creating, he already made incredible stories and then went on to make, in my opinion, the most influential anime, manga, anything of all time. Sorry, a lot of this is going to be really scattered because it's not scripted. I'm just trying to go off of what I want to say. I'm Hispanic. I'm Mexican, and I understand that Dragon Ball was a huge part of many communities. I mean, France, France had, the president of France has a signed art of Toriyama, and he put out a statement, as well as all kinds of football leagues and teams, and the Chinese government did something that they only do for officials. So they recognize Akira, like they mourned Akira Toriyama the same way they would a prominent Chinese official. And then obviously in Mexico as well, the Mexican community has an unreal connection to Akira Toriyama. He, wow, he made a series that, I mean, fuck, my aunt's restaurant in Mexico is named after Goku, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, it has a big ass art of Goku on the wall, and that's tough to recreate. I don't think anybody else is ever gonna recreate some shit like that. You know, when Super was airing, I was thankfully old enough to at least watch that air week by week, and that was a really big boon for the internet. And I was watching these shows or these episodes put up live because I couldn't, you know, we were poor and I couldn't, I mean, you know, a lot of us were and a lot of us are, and we couldn't afford Crunchyroll, and I couldn't just go out of my way and ask for them to pay for Crunchyroll or Verve or any of those apps, you know? So I had to watch it on YouTube, and there would be many accounts streaming the episode live, subbed on YouTube. And hell, even before Super started, I was watching them stream Dragon Ball Z Battle of the Gods, Dragon Ball Super Battle of the Gods, and Resurrection F on car rides, and just thinking like, this is the greatest shit I've ever seen. And then the Super anime came out, and we watched week by week just this incredible story unfold. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is because towards the end of Super in the Tournament of Power arc, first of all, thank God I was alive to watch this unfold. I was watching weekly, and I would put on the big screen the actual episode, and then on a small screen I would have the live streams from Mexico. Now that's why I went around about to say that, is because the Mexican government would go through and organize these watch parties. They would put, I know a bunch of other countries did this too, but Mexico would have multiple cities across the entire country showing Dragon Ball Super and its episodes, and thousands and thousands and thousands of people would be sitting there in attendance watching it. They were advertising it on walls of restaurants, on screens. People that had no affiliation with Dragon Ball, people that were not going to make any money off of the episode, people that were not even going to screen the episode themselves, were advertising it to make sure you did not miss this episode of Dragon Ball. And I would have the small screen up like that and the big screen up, and then I would just hear the cheers as things would go on when they were fighting Jiren, and you just felt so connected. And I would come into school the next day, and I would meet people and become friends with people over Dragon Ball, a show. It brought anime to the mainstream. I know a lot of people credit Attack on Titan bringing a lot of anime to the mainstream too, but without Dragon Ball, I mean, where do these shows even come from? You know? And I would sit there, watch alongside them, hear their cheers, and then go watch reactions. Fun fact, the only reason I even have a reaction channel is because I watched reactors watching Dragon Ball Super. That's the only way that even became like a thought in my mind that might be possible, was watching people react to Dragon Ball. Reaction content was never my thing. It was just, when I started watching people watch Dragon Ball Super, I mean, it felt like you were connected to the person because they were enjoying something that you enjoyed just as much as they did. And so the man's creation has inspired and made, it saved lives, you know, millions of lives, and it's made millions of friendships off of influence alone. I've never felt this way over like a celebrity death, literally ever. There are entire countries just mourning the loss. As I was saying a little earlier, the sheer scale and magnitude that Dragon Ball had produced went on to influence some of the biggest shows of all time. What I don't think people realize is, you legitimately, like, the landscape of battle manga looks nothing like it looks now. Like, let's assume some of these shows still exist. it would take a lot longer for them to exist. Some of them wouldn't exist at all. And then even if they did, they'd be completely different than what happened now, because his art style, the way he paneled things, the way he told a story, the way he conveyed these transformations. Orale from Dr. Slump inspired a lot of Mario. Dragon Ball inspired a lot of Sonic. Akira Toriyama championed Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, Chrono Trigger. Like he inspired an entire genre of video games. Um, it like when you just say it and put it into words, the magnitude is unmatched by quite literally anybody in the medium. I mean, Kubo's manga Bleach got rejected, and Akira Toriyama said, "Nah, man, this shit has potential. Please, like, submit it one more time. Just try it one more time." And then they got accepted, and we got Bleach. Kishimoto, Oda, a bunch of people, a bunch of mangakas wanted to become mangakas strictly because of Akira Toriyama and his creations. They had no thought in their mind to make the shows and stories that they wanted to make without him. Like, when you start to put that into, like, when you start to think about that in that way, it's like, where would we be without the show? A lot of us wouldn't have friendships. Many of us wouldn't have careers. Not me yet, but a lot of people wouldn't have careers. A lot of people wouldn't be alive without the show. You know how many people he's inspired to be artists, weightlifters, martial artists, friends? Millions and millions and millions and millions of people fell into this because of that. And you can see it. You can see, I've never seen this many people mourn somebody's death on Twitter or on Instagram or on TikTok or on YouTube. I've never, ever, ever seen this many people mourn a person's loss like this. You can tell how much he impacted. Like, pop culture would never, ever be the same. And I think what really catapulted manga to, or anime and manga to be mainstream, was him getting a US screening, him getting a screening across the world. Like, it's just, like, dude, my mom knows nothing about anime. I could show her Goku and she'll know who Goku is. I can show her Vegeta and she knows who Vegeta is. I can show her a Dragon Ball and she knows it's from Dragon Ball Z. That's, like, it's transcended generations, and it's honestly unbelievable. Watching it late at night on, I believe it was Adult Swim, and then, you know, getting to watch it streamed episode by episode with Dragon Ball Super, and then going to the movies to watch Broly, Superhero. Unbelievable, man. He literally made one of the greatest series of all time, one of the most influential series of all time. It's literally kind of like how Stan Lee was to the West with Marvel, Akira Toriyama was to the East with Dragon Ball, and they both crossed over to each other's, and just, we've lost them both. We've all obviously lost the Berserker artist, as well as the Yu-Gi-Oh author as well, and it's just, you know, we're losing legends, and it sucks that we're losing legends. 68 is not old. And for some reason, I've heard a few people say this, my friend told me this, it just didn't seem like he would ever be gone. You know? And yeah, I was definitely in shambles last night. But we should definitely be happy over what he gave us. He gave us a gift. Probably the greatest gift a person could ever give you and you could receive. And I can't say thank you enough. Video games, just all mediums. He just transcended. He's an incredible creative genius. Like, there's hardly ever going to be anybody like him. His kind nature, he's just such a good guy. People saw him as a god. You realize that? Like, people in his medium and workspace saw him as a god. And yeah, I don't know if it could ever be done again. I don't like to say ever, but this was such a perfect storm, you know? Like, I don't know if it could ever be recreated. And his loss is definitely felt not just by me, but by millions and millions and millions of people across the world. And I'm sure those of you watching this as well. I don't make videos like this, but I felt the need to, because of the sheer magnitude of the man that he was. We're going to be watching Dragon Ball Daima in October, and that's the last thing he got to work on, the last thing he supervised, so it's going to hit a lot different now. Obviously, Dragon Ball Sparking Z, the video game, we're gonna be playing that on stream whenever it drops, and tears are probably gonna be shed whenever we watch those and play those games. Before this ends off, I have two letters. A lot of mangakas express their sorrow. Goku's voice actor was handpicked by Akira Toriyama. Just all these people that knew him personally are mourning his loss, but I have two letters here from very prominent people in the industry, and I'd like to read them to you before we leave. This is Masashi Kishimoto's letter over Toriyama's death. If you don't know who he is, he created Naruto. Frankly, I don't know what to write or how to write about something so sudden, but I would like to express my thoughts and feelings towards Toriyama Sensei, something I wish he himself would have asked me someday. As I grew up with Dr. Slump and Dragon Ball in school, having his manga at hand was always natural and part of my life. Very true. Even when I had a bad experience, watching Dragon Ball made me forget about it. It was a relief for me, a country boy who had nothing, because Dragon Ball could not be more fun. When I got to college, suddenly, Dragon Ball ended, and I felt an incredible sense of loss that I could not replace. But at the same time, it offered me an opportunity to understand the greatness of the master who created it. And of course, I wanted to do something similar. I wanted to be like my master. I started following in his footsteps and aspired to become a mangaka, which made that feeling of loss disappear because making comics was fun. I found a new fun following you. You were always my guide. I admired you. I'm sorry it has to be this way, but I would like to express to you that for me, you were a savior and the god of manga. When we first met, I was so nervous that I couldn't say a word. Still, after countless meetings on the Tezuka Award Committee, I overcame my fears and we had a lot of conversations. Oda and I became children again every time we talked about Dragon Ball. It seemed like we were competing to see who was the biggest fan, and I haven't forgot how you looked at us and smiled, a little embarrassed when you saw us. Today I received the news of my master's death. I feel an even greater sense of loss than when Dragon Ball ended. I don't know how I'll deal with this hole in my heart. Now I can't even read Dragon Ball. Everyone was eagerly awaiting your work. I wish the wishes of Dragon Ball existed. Maybe it's selfish, but I'm so sad. Thank you, Toriyama, for your work over 45 years. Thank you for your efforts and hard work. The remaining members of your family are deeply wounded. Please take care of yourself and rest in peace. Toyotaro went on to say that, wanting to be praised by Toriyama was all he wanted in life, and it was everything to him. I wish Toyotaro the best, and I pray that he continues the series. He was handpicked by Toriyama. He's been getting a lot of flack lately, but he was handpicked by him. He was trained by him. He was taught to be like him, so he has to continue the series, and that's what he said about Akira Toriyama's death. And then I have Oda's letter here. It still feels too sudden. I feel like a huge hole has pierced through my heart. The thought of never seeing you again fills me with sadness. I've admired you so much since I was a child. I vividly remember the day you called me by my name for the first time. I remember when you called me a friend for the first time, and I remember the last conversation we had. You took the helm in an era when reading manga was considered a foolish waste of time. You forged an era where both adults and children could read and enjoy this medium. It's very true. You showed me that manga could achieve such a thing. You made me dream that I could reach the whole world. You were my superhero. Your impact was not limited to just the manga industry. The childhood of millions of creators from various industries is rooted in the excitement of reading and watching Dragon Ball. Your existence has been like a great tree whose branches extend to the sky. For the mangaka of our generation, the closer we got to your work, the more we realized its importance. Although it was terrifying, the person behind it all was very calm, and finding that out made me very happy. We ended up loving you for who you were and not just for what you did. I would like to offer my deepest respect and gratitude for the vibrant creative world that Akira Toriyama left behind, and pray from the bottom of my heart for him to rest in peace. And before I end it off with what he said, I want to say my own thanks to Akira Toriyama. He brought me and a lot of people together, and it's with a heavy, heavy heart that we mourn his death. Sincerely, one of the most influential people of all time, and the creator of my happiness for many, many years. Lastly, Oda said, and I agree with this statement, I hope that heaven is as delightful of a place as you imagined it in your manga. Thank you guys for watching. I know this was a completely different kind of video, and I'm sorry, but I felt like it'd be disrespectful of me not to say something. To all the people mourning out there, I feel you. I'm right there with you, and we're all right there with you too. And we'll be seeing each other soon with more Dragon Ball content and more Dragon Ball creations that he actually had a hand in. And for the foreseeable future, we will be supporting Dragon Ball here. And shit, I'm already planning on getting a tattoo. That's my god, man. That's my goat. Thank you guys for watching. And try not to be too down. Like he himself said, try to tackle life with as much energy as Goku did. I'll try to do the same. Peace.